This tutorial will show you how to use a utility program called Grab in order to make a screenshot on a Apple Macintosh. You can also take screenshots on Windows machines. On a Windows laptop, the key usually says something like PRT SCR and usually appears in the upper right hand side of the keyboard. Sometimes it's a function click or a shift click in order to take the screenshot. On a Macintosh it works a little bit differently, and the easiest way to do it is to use that program called Grab, and that's what I'll be demonstrating in this tutorial. Okay, so if I was writing on the Atlanta Community Food Bank, I think one of the things I'd like to discuss is the sitemap and that appears in the footer on every page in the site. That's the blue box down here that includes links to all of the major sections of the site. And of course they do this for a number of reasons, to orient their human users, and also because Google's search engine cares a great deal about the text in links and uses those in order to index the pages more thoroughly and comprehensively. So I'll be talking in the food bank analysis that I might write about that, and in order to illustrate that I would want to take a screenshot of this part of the image. So on a Mac there is a program called Grab, and if it's in the dock already, the icon looks like this. It has a pair of scissors, is the most prominent icon. But if you can't find it in your dock, then the quickest way to get to it is to use the Spotlight tool. So if you just go to the eyeglass or magnifying glass icon in the upper right hand corner of your screen and type Grab, the top hit likely will come up with the application. And if you simply select that, then Grab will open. Grab's special because it usually doesn't change your screen at all except for the menu up here. You see Grab's in the front if it lists the name Grab in the menu bar here. But if you switch to another program like Firefox or Photoshop, then Grab is still open. You just need to click back in order to get to it. Okay, so Grab's nice because it allows you to capture different aspects rather than just the entire screen. Under the capture menu command, you can select the entire screen, everything that's showing on your screen at the moment, but you can also select just to capture just one window, or even to click and drag a selection of the screen and simply capture that. So I've taken some time to set up the window here to show exactly what I want to see. So in order to copy the contents of this window, now that it's set up, I simply go to Grab, which means I click on the icon, and I bring the Grab menu bars to the front, and then select Capture Window. I'll get a window that says, when the window you want is ready, click Choose Window, and then click the window to capture it. So I click Choose Window, and then click in the window that I want it to capture, and it takes a picture of the contents of that window, including the Chrome, the browser Chrome around the window, which is something to keep in mind. And it saves that screenshot as a TIFF. Now, that's in some ways unfortunate because the TIFF file format, while good for some things, isn't in a file format that can automatically be shared on the web. So this is what we can call offline media. And what we'll need to do is to first save the TIFF into offline media, manipulate it a bit, and create a web-ready version, which we'll then save into the analysis folder on our flash drive. Since these images are going to be part of the analysis web pages, that's the appropriate place to put them. So we will first save the TIFF into our offline media folder on the flash drive. So we go to File, Save, find the flash drive. Mine happens to be called 16 gigabyte 2. In that, I'll find my offline media folder. I'm going to call this something that makes sense, so footer.tiff makes sense to me. By the way, you might not see the .tiff extension if the hide extension radio button is clicked. unclicking that can save you some confusion if you're dealing with different file formats. So footer.tiff goes into the offline media folder, and I click Save. Okay, and now I can close out of Grab to quit the program. I can easily start it again when I need it. But what I'll need to do now is open that TIFF file in Adobe Photoshop so that I can manipulate and edit that image. So here is Photoshop. I simply go to File, Open, and find the TIFF file on my flash drive in Offline Media. There it is, footer.tiff. Open it, and here is the image in Photoshop. One thing to notice about Photoshop is that it doesn't always show you 100% of the size of the image. You see up here it shows me the file name, footer.tiff, but it says at 66.7%, which means that right now Photoshop is only showing me the image at 2/3 its actual size. You can use the magnifying tool to zoom in to see what it will look like full size, and that is probably a bit big for what I need it to be in order to illustrate a point that I'm making in my analysis and drop it into a web page. So one of the things that I'll do as I export a web-ready version of this is to shrink it down a little bit. We did this in class the other day, but just take you through the steps. In Photoshop, you go to File, Save for Web, and now you have some choices in terms of file format. Ping 8 is great. It creates very small files. You can see it's 48 kilobytes here. But it only works well if it's a relatively uncomplicated image with very few colors in it, which this one happens to be. But if I was saving an image that had photographic kinds of images in it, I'd probably want to pick JPEG. If I save this at JPEG, you see that it jumps up to 73 or almost 74 kilobytes in size, but I don't get any better quality. So those are the two file formats that I would suggest you play with. Either JPEG if it's a photographic kind of image, or if you've got a diagram or some other kind of image that has, very simple flat blocks of color in it, then try either Ping 8 or Ping 24. Ping 24 will result in slightly larger images, 196 in this case, which is much larger. Ping 8 is the best choice here at 48. But this image is also 842 pixels wide and 892 pixels high, and it really doesn't need to be that big for me to be able to show my reader what I'm trying to get her to see. So if I change that to a width of 700 pixels, I see I can still read the text well enough, and that's what I need. So I'm going to go ahead and save this as a Ping 8 into my analysis folder on my flash drive. Okay, and I'll call it something again that makes sense, like footer.png, and there it is. Okay, so I'll now show you as a kind of refresher the steps that are involved in adding an image to a web page. And to do that, I need to first open the analysis folder on my Spence website, and here it is. There's the analysis folder. Those are all the separate pages that we created, and here is footer.ping. So I was going to put this into page 2. I'm going to Insert, Image, there's the analysis folder, there's the footer, open. This is the Atlanta Community Food Bank, RACFB page footer, which makes sense for alternate text. I click OK, and there's the image.